Good morning, friends. This is my 79th video, and in this video I'll be covering some questions which are more related to the bungalow area. Okay. Now, most of the bungalows where we are facing some major problems, and these problems relate to the bungalows in possession of the army. Somewhere the bungalow owner or HOR is not living, so the bungalow is in possession for more than 60, 70, 40 years with the tenants which are meagerly paying him 10, 20 or whatever rupees. The bungalows are dilapidated somewhere, they're standing. In some cases, bungalows have disputes under inheritance within the family. And in some cases, for many years, the bungalows have not been mutated by the department for various reasons and dilly-dally situations. So these are some issues which generally happen in bungalow area. So what is to be done? We need to understand our laws, And the biggest question in front of such HORs or owners is that, Mr. Das, what is the best thing we can do? Sometimes they say to get rid of this liability, or sometimes they say, Mr. Das, we want to enjoy this property because it was my grandfather's or whatever. So let us now one by one pick up these issues which I said in the earlier part. There are bungalows from 1950s or 17s where somewhere in cases the British officers or their wives or probate orders came from England, and these bungalows exchanged hands. Now what has happened? Now the proposal goes to the MOD or to the local military authority. They, without doing anything, they'll put a foot onto it and they'll say, we want to resume this bungalow, required for the next 20 years for a growth of the local military authority. Past 50 years, neither resumption has taken place, neither mutation has taken place. So when your name doesn't stand in the HOR, there are so many problems which you face, which I know and which you also know if you are facing one. So not an iota progress has been done by the MOD to resume your bungalow. So what do? How can a HOR or holder of occupancy, really concentrate the system? Now let's say if the HOR is in occupancy of his bungalow, he should move an executive war with the system and should seek his mutation under inheritance. If that is not happening, at least he should take the tax regime or the CO, tax superintendent, to task and mutate him as an occupier, which I can share how it is to be done, and get yourself mutated there for tax purposes. Now there are cases where HOR who had purchased these bungalows and unfortunately or fortunately the army wanted to resume, and they finally even went into resumption of these bungalows. Can you imagine these bungalow owners have not been recognized by these GLR as they do not stand there by name? Their compensation rights have been jeopardized. The department plays such a vicious role since it knows that Mr. A has sold the bungalow, who was the resumptee or was the resumptee, and would not like to pay the compensation to the next HOR because he has not bought it under the various procedures of the Ministry of Defence. I remember there was a case of a retired Supreme Court judge going on. Can you imagine how much he had to suffer to get his compensation because the bungalow was resumed within days of his buying the bungalow? A similar case is happening in Ambala. The new HOR, there is a small statement in his High Court order. He stepped into the shoes of Mrs. A, but is still yet not being recognized. Past 20, 30 years, he is fighting for his compensation. So friends, what I'm trying to bring you down is, whether dilapidated, whether not in possession, whether the army wants to resume it, or mutation becomes very important here. Tomorrow, if you have to be taken up by the army or you want to get something approved. Now, what has happened in the past has happened, cannot be changed. Let's work for the future. That is what I have researched on. So, we have to get our documents of sale, which is maybe illegal sale, because the MOD has not been giving permission for the last some 40 years. So, how do we do? So, we need to get proper agreement for sales to be made by the original HOR or his legal inheritors. We need to pick up special power of attorneys for filing of various court cases or filing of tax purpose letters or the COs or the DOs. Every special attorney should be with us, that on behalf of this we are filing these letters, so that the department starts authorizing you. We need to make sure that there should be a general power of attorney in name of a second person of the buyer, who would be entitled to sell the bungalow in name of Mr. A, who is the original HOR, whenever the permission flows in from the MOD. Why this is to be done is very important. Simultaneous, the most important thing is to get a will made. Now that will has to have a proper language, and then you come under inheritance of the original HOR. We need to get simultaneously, if the HOR is having a family, we have to have relinquishment deeds made by his family members. Again, that deed has to be made as per the requirements of the DO or the CO to mutate you tomorrow. So, a lot of time has flown, water has flown down the lane. I've been requesting people, these bungalow owners, whether leads or OGBs in bungalow areas, please trust the system and the happenings. You've been watching me on YouTube, you've been attending my Zoom classes. A lot of mouth shedding has been done by other people since 2015. Where are they? Nowhere. Because sometimes what happens is we are working in associations for petty gains. Doesn't Mr. A, who is the president of the cantonment, is also an OGB, whether on lease or on an old grant? Or whether B, who is the general secretary or anything. When I was the president, even I was an OGB. So everybody has his own interest, and then we have a simple saying going around in these cantonments. Don't show your face, remain at the back. If you come in the forefront, the army or the department will make sure that they will hassle you. So we are so scared by all this. Why? Because we are not educated. We are not united. That is why I am saying, please get your Janam Patris made, so that I can at least guide you to what my research has come up with. Please, these are your grey areas and these are your strong areas, and this is how you can move forward. If you don't want to come to me, go to the Paddies and Sandys of these cantonments, who call themselves the most educated people on earth. I know people from Mau cantonment who are so egoistic. So let's shun all this. Let's pick up an executive war and an executive system. Let us get our sales endorsed. Let us move for our mutation. Sometimes, people come up to me. I remember somebody came up to me in 2008-9, showed me all his mutation files. Ambala. 2009-10, when I asked for there's going to be expenses, that bungalow owner has never turned back. So, if we do not manage getting our mutations done by the DO or the land records, I can guarantee you that your mutation for tax purposes would be done not as Mr. A bracketed Mr. Sandy Paddy. No, it would be done in your name. So friends, my humble request, please get your Janam Patri made. And now these 4.5 questions which I picked up were related to whether the bungalow is in dilapidated condition, in HOR occupancy or tenants, or is hired by the army. Now here, if it is hired by the army, there are various things which will be coming in my videos coming. So we need to all these. What does hire mean? In possession of emirs or DO or the local army. So friends, once again, I'm saying, I am honestly speaking that old grant means freehold property. I'll be more easier now because we were revenue free grants. We were never converted by the Britishers into new grants, which they had to do by the 1790 and 1793 regulation. They didn't do it. I'm talking of why 1790 and 1793 because Barrackpur cantonment was the first cantonment where this kind of things should have been happening. Till 1859, the last, when Indian Council Act came in 1860, the Britishers said, now we will not give any new grants. We will recognize those old grants as proprietorships. So please get in touch with me. Thank you. Good day.